Well, first and foremost, Anton, thank you for accepting this interview. Just going to ask you a couple of quick questions that is going to be very useful for gathering some data. As we know, you are a Muay Thai coach, right?
Correct.
How long have you been within the world of Muay Thai?
About 18 years.
18.
18 years, yeah.
That's a really long time.
In
Okay,
Muay Thai specifically,
and Muay
like
Thai
in other
specific.
martial arts, longer, but purely Muay Thai, yeah, about 18 years.
So how long have you been coaching for now?
About 18 years.
Oh,
Not all Muay
literally.
Thai. Yeah. I started coaching when I was like as a job from 2005. So yeah.
So you're really, really experienced. Okay, so as a Muay Thai coach, what is the main issue that you face when training your fighters?
Fighters specifically,
Yeah,
or every other person.
it can be every other person or like fighters in general.
It's a very broad question, but like your biggest issue is time commitment from people. Um, Purely people just don't train long enough, like often enough, frequent enough. If you think about it, like you in university, how long do you spend in university study a subject before you like not even before you're good at it, not even before you even start a job, but you spend like 3 4 years for university degree, like what 20 30 hours a week, and even at the end of that you're still not particularly very good. It just kind of opens the door for you to then to go into work, right? Well, Muay Thai is a bit the same. People train like maybe 3 4 times a week, an hour at a time, 2 hours at a time most. So they spend like a few hours a week of training, and it takes a very long time to get good essentially. So the biggest problem is like people obviously expect to be at a certain level, but in reality they just don't put in, they just physically don't put in enough time, because it just takes like a long time. You need to, like with any skill acquisition.
Yeah,
So I
they
would say the
can.
biggest one is the freedom to train a lot. we
So
that, that's why we don't match up against the Thais really well. By the time they like late teens, early 20, they would have put in already like 20,000 hours of training, from the young age. And we basically can't match that because.
okay, so when you're training professional fighters, you obviously listen, you train all types of people, but I am aware that you do train professional fighters. When you train professional fighters, do they face the same issue?
Well, it's a little bit easier because I guess once they're professional, they committed to training a little bit more. They already got a foundation. Then it's just managing, I guess, injuries, so kind of managing the workload.
Okay.
And then it's like it's fighter to fighter. Like different people will need different things.
Mhm.
So it's not like one thing fits everybody.
One glove fits all. So the thing is, as a professional coach, when you have a professional fighter, obviously you have contacted them when they're at the gym. But when they leave the gym, maybe at home or maybe they go on holidays or they have to travel for a bit, what happens to their training? Is it severely affected or do you guys
It
have like
could
a
be.
way to manage it?
Like, I mean, it could be. I mean, if they're traveling or if they're on holiday, obviously, like they they should be looking to like to make arrangements for other training, whether it's finding a gym, whether it's at the very least, like doing your runs and shadow boxing just to maintain base level of fitness. um that's gonna be like the big part, is maintaining the base level of fitness.
So
And then
maintain.
ideally, if you can like find a gym where you can then still train, then sometimes it doesn't work. So obviously, like you might go to places where there isn't, so you just end up running, shadow boxing. That's about it.
Mhm. But they don't really practice technique or specifically the techniques for their fighting style or the techniques
Or
that
you
you teach them.
you can't. You need a at the minimum you need a bag to work with, or you need another person, right? So you need a second person.
second person.
So, like I said, you can practice like shadow boxing, you can practice certain, but it's very limited what you can do, you know.
Hmm.
So that's why usually when people travel or in, well, I say like in your own time, you go get your runs in, you go get your like the base level of fitness.
So I'm guessing managing their time and their schedules is a bit difficult because obviously you have so many clients. Do you ever get
Yeah,
mixed up with them or?
but professional fighters, like I tell them what to do. It's up to them to do it. It's like I don't manage it for them. They like I put in like so like okay, we need to do like 10 hours in the gym, and then I'll say like okay like depending how they fighting, you'll need to fit in certain amount of kilometers per week. You have to do certain amount of like allocated time for your basically runs and stuff like that.
Of course. So hypothetically, if there were like an application to aid these fighters and coaches alike, what features would you like to see on this application?
What features? Well, again, like I mean, it's hard to say. Other than were you like gonna fitness track them? I guess, right? So is that where you're heading, or is that gonna be like I mean, for professional fighters, I wouldn't really know. For beginners, it can be like a library of techniques, for example. Like you can do something like that. I've got like a little tool where it's an app that measures your like punch velocity and power and things like that. So you basically put these little tags into your hands, and then when you shadow box or go on a bag or stuff like that, it records your like sort of power and output and how many punches you throw. So there is like you got like a data point then, But again, I mean, it's a gimmick, It's like it's fun to use, but like an app, like I can see apps working, yeah, with regards to like a technique library, I guess, for
Mhm.
more like but that's not for professional fighters. You need interaction, you need like you need that second person, whether it's a training partner or whether it's a coach. But for beginners, I would say you like if you're doing an app that's going to be aimed more for like your average Joe rather than professional fighters.
Actual professional fighters. How about the
Yeah.
mental aspect of it?
What's
As
that?
how about the mental aspect of it as a motivating factor? Because you're saying that you use something that records punch velocity, things like that. They can see their progress.
Yeah, so that
They
so
look
that
at
so that that's another reason you will use it is like, yeah, so I will use it more with like clients who are harder to motivate, who do need to see like an empirical data. Like if I say, oh, that punch was hard, so rather than me telling them that punch that was hard, I can show them on the app, okay, look, you've thrown in that round, you've thrown 80 punches. The average speed of those punches was so and so. The average power was so and so. So it records like empirical data, and some people, but again, the novelty tend to wear off, like and because the data I wouldn't say is like 100% accurate, so it's kind of like it gives you a ballpark figure, and for your like kind of gym goers or people that do it for like a bit of fitness, so it's just what I mean. For them, it's quite fun. For them it's like, yeah, like empirical data that they try to improve on, but rarely people all they use is that.
Mhm. So you would say for the average show, technique libraries, maybe a
Technique,
schedule to help them out as well
technique,
would
yeah,
be.
so something like that. If the app got like, so it can be like an all-in-one type thing. So you can have like rounds, for example, if you're training at home or by yourself, you can have like a few exercises to improve like balance and to improve like kind of like lunging exercises into kneeing and like squat into knee or kick, kind of like a few drills that they can do by themselves to just improve their base balance and kind of coordination, kind of like almost like the warm-up drills that you would do. And then you can already have it set up as a timer, so like you set up like I got like 3 3-minute rounds, and like first minute I'm doing like left checks, right checks, and then I'm doing like teep hops or whatever. So you can maybe like program that Like, it just essentially tells you what to do, you know, like, again, I think you get like some of my clients were using these like boxing apps, right? And like in the round, the guy basically will telling you what combos to throw when you're shadow boxing and stuff like that, you know. So it's kind of like talking you through the exercises. Again, for beginners, they might need to do, but real fighters, they don't need that. They don't need to be told that you're throwing those punches or those, you know what I mean? But like as somebody who's just starting out, could be helpful. So yeah, now that maybe got a timer, like a round timer that is adjustable, and then if those exercise, some of these like exercises that going into it, like whether it's like a warm up exercises or strengthening exercises to improve like balance and all that, could be useful. And then you can have like a an example videos of like, okay, this is a knee, this is a kick, this is how you break down that kick, or this is how you break down that knee, so people can kind of reference it, you know.
I agree because do you think?
but but other than that, like for like, again, that's like for the beginnerish level, for the newer people that's starting out, or but like as you're getting better, it becomes redundant to you, you know what I mean?
I agree.
So
So this could aid for muscle memory as well, because we see all the time, like new gym goers, they go and they've been practicing at home, but they've been practicing a bad
yeah,
technique and they've
yeah.
had a bad muscle memory.
Like what could be good if there's a technology, I don't know if it's something that's possible, but you know, like for example, you throw a technique, like you throw a punch, right? Let's say at profile, you throw in a punch, bam, and then it records you and it shows, are you leaning, are you, so something maybe analyze whether you throwing a punch straight or are you skewing the punch to the side, or are you throwing that knee and you're nice and upright and your leg is locked out. So if there's a system, whether it's like with the video or whatever, that lets you analyze the move. So for example, there's an app that I use for, because I used to weightlift as well, you know, like powerlift. So like I will, let's say I'm doing a technique like a squat or a deadlift, I'll record it, and then the app will measure my line of movement, you know, and then it creates hinges on my body, and do the hinges move at the right time.
Okay, that's very interesting. So kind of like an AI coach, you could say.
Yeah. I think it's called DI or something like that. I can't remember. I haven't used it for a while, but yeah, it will basically like, you can then, and then me, so like my clients, let's say they use that, they'll perform a lift, they will send it, I can put the lift into the app, and then I can draw corrections, for example, on the app, things like that, you know. So like,
Okay,
your body needs to be in this position rather than this position, this is where you got, well, this is where your technique broke down, or etc etc.
that sounds really, really interesting.
So
So
that's a weightlifting app, you know.
that's a weightlifting app, yeah. But at the same time, it's
So
easy to certain features, that can actually
yeah,
translate.
so if it's something like that, you can do for like, if somebody performing the knee, and like you say, like, are they doing the knee correct or not? Like I say most people, okay, you practice at home, you shadow box, film yourself, and then do it slowly. Do that one technique a few times, and then watch the video. Does it look like what it's supposed to look like? But obviously, if they got nothing to compare themselves to, you can have like a side video of like, this is what it's supposed to look like. Or if you have like a stick man, kind of will show you like whatever, like, how it needs to be. And then is that what you're doing, or are you whatever wrong? Essentially, something like that. Potentially, could be useful.
Honestly, yeah, that's a great idea.
But
So
again, that would be more like, your target market should be kind of the average Joes and beginners, because all this becomes redundant for people that are already pretty good. People that are good need contact training. They need the feel. They have that physical application to it.
that
Not
one to
theoretical.
one with a coach, yeah, with a
Yeah,
coach.
it's predominantly one-to-one with a coach, or with a training partner, where you like just now repeating those drills. Your basics are already good, and then you just need to be able to apply more. It's more to do with, like I say, with the distancing, learning to measure your distance. No app is gonna teach you that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. It's kind of like driving. Like you can learn all the theory you want in the world, but unless you actually get onto driving, you're not going to be
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like I said, like if your target audience is like kind of a beginnerish, so I said, like, I think A technique library could be good, from just basic moves to like maybe some fundamental combos and kind of like principles, I guess. So they have like a basic, all right, this is what I can practice if I'm shadow boxing, or how, things like, oh, how to wrap hands, or like what, like shit like that, like potentially could be useful for people so they can have all in one place, have a timer, have like a skipping thing or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm. Yeah,
and then if there's a way to like, if you record your and put your video into the app, and then can the app analyze you, like your body structure type thing?
that's a really, really interesting idea, honestly. And I
I
like
need to
the
try.
idea about wrapping the hands. It's funny because when I started, I had that issue. I
I
generally
mean,
want
it's look,
to wrap my
that
hands.
information you can find obviously readily available on YouTube and whatnot. But like, if it's already in the app, then
It's a lot easier. Yeah, it saves time. And that means more
yes.
time for actual training. Because a lot of people, especially like the average Joe, they're office workers, the busy people, and they do
Yeah.
have to schedule themselves accordingly.
And then you can do like little workouts on the app, like, this is my gonna be 20-minute like strength workout or whatever. Then you can add a few exercises like, oh, how do I like some stretches, or how do I, so this is the shit that people ask me, like, oh, what stretch should I do for my whatever? I can't get my hip over on my kick, or I'm like whatever, so like, just, yeah, like, this is actually could be useful. So like, these are some of the strengthening exercises you can do, or this is some of the stretching exercises you can do. So that could be useful,
I agree.
have a library of like little videos of stretches and whatever that.
Yeah. So Anton, listen, this concludes the interview. It's been around, I would say 15 minutes now. I don't want to
uh,
take up any more of your time. I am
Nice.
very, very, very grateful for this. So I'm going to officially stop recording. So.